The Atari VCS is coming out soon, reviving an important brand and symbol from the early days of video game history. But it's been a bit of a bumpy road, with fans coming out critically against the console due to a series of missteps and misstatements, and about the only thing that's been consistent on the project have been the constant delays. A few weeks ago, I caught a video from YongYea who did a pretty good summary of the situation.
The current modern-day Atari's inability to check their work and do proper due diligence on stuff like this, I mean, that just goes to show how trustworthy this company is, which is not at all. From the way they raised $3 million for a product that didn't exist, took pre-orders for a product that didn't exist, that they didn't begin development on, them not paying their employees, not paying the lead architect, not upholding their deals, and the whole show aspect to the development, the ridiculously high price point for an extremely weak hardware, the complete lack of games.
Now, I don't want to cover the entire saga, but I did want to focus on possibly the most frustrating thing about the project, the games, or lack thereof. The problem started way back when the VCS team released footage showing the console playing Tempest 2000, which certainly seemed encouraging as it's a sequel to a beloved arcade game, and it appeared on classic consoles like the Atari Jaguar and the Sega Saturn. Except that all went up in flames when the developers of Tempest 2000 announced this was a surprise to them, as there were no VCS ports in the works. The Atari team was forced to walk it all back. As fans began to complain about the dearth of games available on the system, Atari announced that 1,000 more games would be available on the console. Except that turned out to be the Antstream game subscription service, and fans waiting to hear about more games were hardly enthused about a pay service on top of the cost of a new console. And that service is already available elsewhere anyways, so certainly nothing exclusive to the console. But of course the console is an Atari, so there should be some first-party games, right? Well, they did announce that the Atari Vault is coming to the console, included in the price of it, bringing with it 100 classic Atari games. However, that might not be quite as good a deal as it sounds. Here's what YongYea had to say about that.
The only thing giving this console its value is the fact that it comes built in with 100 classic Atari games. But even that aspect is something of a ripoff. So the impression that I got of the Atari VCS was that this Atari Vault was an exclusive thing for the Atari VCS, that they're building in 100 classic games into the console, and they're doing that to give this more value. But the Atari Vault, and I did not know this in my previous video, is a piece of software, a compilation that is already out on other platforms. There's actually a listing for this on the Steam page. You can see right here that it came out all the way back in 2016. So this whole Atari Vault aspect of the Atari VCS turns out is really not a compelling reason to buy this console. And here's the cherry on top. The price of the Atari Vault right now, if you go to Steam, is a mere $10. The Atari Vault of the near $400 that the Atari VCS is charging only represents a $10 value. What that means is that of this $380 that they're charging for the VCS 800, $370 of that is dedicated to the hardware, which I'll remind you is only 0.46 teraflops, 4 times less powerful, 4 times weaker than the base PS4. Beyond the Atari Vault, another game confirmed for the Atari VCS is Missile Command Recharged, which is a remaster or remake of the original classic Missile Command. This is also a game that is already out on Steam. It's available on other platforms. It isn't a game that is being uniquely made for the VCS. It isn't a first-party exclusive. It's a game that's already out, has been out since May 27th, 2020, and it is only $3 on Steam right now.
And in Atari's promotional video, they show footage of Fortnite being played, but YongYea found something pretty interesting about that as well.
Another game that Atari showcased being played on the VCS is Fortnite. I didn't know if this was like a port that was being worked on for the VCS, but a lot of people pointed out when I showed this footage right here that on the bottom right of the screen, you can see a watermark that says Activate Windows. So what we're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, isn't a VCS version of Fortnite running on the console. This is straight up just the Windows version of Fortnite being run on an emulated version of Windows in this, what is essentially a generic Linux PC inside an Atari box.
So, since the Atari Vault and Missile Command games are currently available on Steam, and Fortnite was shown being played via Windows, some fans began to ask, are any of these games actually going to play natively on the hardware, or is the VCS simply another Windows box? Well, we have an answer with the latest games that have been announced for the console. A while after I saw YongYea's video, I saw this one from the Atari Creep on the announcement that the TX Entertainment Series Payback is coming to the VCS.
How is everyone doing today? We have some Atari VCS game news. Apparently there are another set of games coming to the VCS, whatever that means. TX Entertainment announces in association with Atari, the Payback trilogy will be available on the VCS.
The first Payback game came out on the Amiga computer, with later ports to the Game Boy Advance and iOS, and in 2012 a sequel game came out for Android and iOS. The third entry in the series was just recently announced, and the entire trilogy will be available on the VCS.
The VCS is a special case, if you will. It's a PC in console's clothing, if that makes any sense to you as well. Meaning, I don't know if this is something that's going to be developed for native hardware within the VCS, or, and this is a possibility, it's going to be a game that could just run on a PC.
And when I saw that TX Entertainment popped up in the comments, I had to ask him, will Payback be playing natively on the console or simply as a Windows game? Well, TX responded and confirmed that indeed Payback will be playing natively on the VCS hardware, which could make it the first game announced that actually does so. TX also mentioned that the game will be released multi-platform, so you'll actually be able to play it two different ways on the VCS. So there you have it. We actually have a game confirmed to be running natively on the VCS hardware. I should note it's possible Atari's first-party games will run natively as well. I don't know that it's been confirmed or not. It's just the footage that I've seen of gameplay didn't show a boot-up sequence, so you just don't know for sure. However, we do know that at least there will be one game for the VCS that does play natively on the hardware. If I'm incorrect on any of this, please let me know in the comments below. But of course, the games we've talked about are not exclusive to the console, so as far as I know, the console has 0 exclusive games, and none that have been mentioned as planned for the future. Thanks to YongYea for his previous coverage. Yong, keep giving him hell at the big video game companies. And also, thanks to the Atari Creep. Shout out to the Creep. I got a few recent 2600 pickups I threw in the pile of retro there. Thanks to you also for watching, and we'll see you here next time on Hero Journalism.